back out anytime soon.
I'm scared that the security will pull out. I'll fucking run it to the high court.
I do feel bad sorry for him. We're all trying to bombard.
Oh my god, I got a vehicle to me.
Care about, guys. What do you know? It's money. You don't care about people. Only money. Only money. No people. You don't care about human beings. Go. Go. Go.
Justin Bieber's long silenced voice finally thundered across the internet this week, striking the Diddy trial like a high-voltage bolt. With one razor-edge statement, the planet's most recognizable former teen idol confirmed he had dodged Diddy's darkest traps, yet warned that real people were hurt inside Sean Diddy Combs' velvet-roped empire, blasting apart a decade of glossy denials and yanking Hollywood's dirtiest curtain wide open. Overnight, the confession crackled across reels, stories, and midnight talk spaces, crashing servers and turning hashtags into bonfires. Fans dissected grainy 2009 footage of a baby-faced Bieber on Diddy's infamous 48-hour custody spree, while industry insiders whispered a single chilling phrase: "The cover-up is officially over." Across town in a hushed Manhattan courtroom, prosecutors seized the momentum, sliding a thick white envelope onto the clerk's desk, its contents, 100+ names, many carved in gold on Hollywood's marquee. Evidence they claim that Diddy was never a lone wolf, but the frontman for a star-studded shadow network that greased palms, wiped tapes, and traded silence for platinum access. As the judge scanned the list, his eyebrows arched in disbelief. In the gallery, reporters clutched phones, trying to decide whether to gasp or go live. Yet the true shockwave landed minutes later, when the leak suggested several of those still-sealed names are already quietly lobbying Washington for a presidential pardon, an audacious escape hatch that could drag the White House itself onto the witness stand. If Bieber's voice was the starter pistol, this envelope is the grenade. The safety pin has been pulled, and one way or another, the next explosion will reshape the very ground beneath Tinseltown's diamond-shined sidewalks. You could almost feel the temperature drop when Justin Bieber's camp finally released their long-rumored declaration. A terse 3-sentence thunderclap that at once cleared his name and torched the velvet drapes around Diddy's empire. Justin is not among Combs' victims, yet genuine harm was done. Shifting focus away from that truth robs survivors of justice. The phrasing was surgical, but the implications landed like a meteor. Bieber wasn't just distancing himself, he was confirming the nightmare is real. Within hours, forgotten late-night clips of a 15-year-old Justin nervously laughing beside a grinning Diddy reinfected every feed. Fans freeze-framing the moment Puff boasts about custody for 48 hours and promising the craziest dream a kid could imagine. Comment threads exploded. Why was a near-billionaire partying with a minor he didn't manage, mentor, or even employ? Why did Scooter Braun hand over the keys? Why, when Bieber spiraled into pills and arrests, did so many gatekeepers stay silent? Industry whisperers, managers, stylists, bodyguards suddenly eager to swap anonymity for absolution, now allege that the only reason Justin escaped worse was sheer luck and relentless parental interference, while others, they claim, were served up like appetizers at Diddy's late-night freak-offs. The statement's shock value, though, wasn't just in the confirmation of abuse, it was the timing. Prosecutors had just finished presenting a 2012 text thread in which Diddy gloats about locking down that kid before the press sniffs. Minutes later, Bieber's words hit the wire, transforming courtroom murmurs into a roar outside the building. Reporters sprinted to the payphones. Inside, jurors leaned forward, pencils poised. And as the judge gavels a recess, one assistant DA mutters to a colleague, "This changes everything." But the biggest tremor is still coming, because tucked inside the prosecution's evidence log is a 100-name dossier that threatens to drag Hollywood royalty into the witness box next.
Combs allegedly planned and controlled the sex performances, which he called freak-offs, and he often electronically recorded them. The freak-offs sometimes lasted days at a time.
You could almost hear the collective gulp ricochet around the oak-paneled courtroom when the prosecution wheeled in a steel-lidded evidence cart, cracked open a 3-inch binder, and told the bailiff to start reading what insiders have already dubbed the Century Scroll. One by one, the names spilled into the silent air: Michael B. Jordan, Kanye West, Mike Myers, 2 Oscar winners, 3 Grammy royalty couples, the address of an elite Malibu rehab, the call sign of a Gulfstream charter service, even the alias of a discreet Beverly Hills clinic known for hush-hush cosmetic fixes. Jurors' pens stalled mid-sentence. Reporters' phones buzzed like hornets as each syllable confirmed the prosecution's thesis. Diddy's alleged trafficking ring wasn't a solo hustle, but a star-studded ecosystem of enablers who swapped silence for access and favors for plausible deniability. The judge, squinting over half-moon glasses, quipped that the document reads like the credits of an Avengers movie, and nervous laughter fluttered through the gallery until the clerk announced that every person on the list could be referenced in sworn testimony before July. Outside, TMZ drones hovered, hoping to capture just one recognizable face slipping into the witness entrance. Inside, defense attorneys feverishly scribbled challenges, terrified that a single rogue mention could poison juror neutrality. Yet the DA's strategy was obvious: transform Hollywood's open secret into an official court record, daring any name on that roster to lie under oath. Social media detonated within minutes, hashtags ranking celebrities by presumed guilt.
It looks like Justin Bieber has spoken out about how he feels about the Diddy situation, and it's not looking too good, and it's what everybody thought happened. So Justin posted a series of pictures of himself crying on Instagram, and his wife Hailey Bieber also posted the lyric, quote,
while a fringe political blog reported that at least 3 listed figures, or their lobbyists, had already inquired about the mechanics of a presidential pardon. The scroll's real power, though, isn't merely who's on it, but what stories they're now compelled to tell under oath, because buried halfway down the page is a witness codenamed Red Porsche, and his testimony about a flaming sports car is about to set this trial ablaze. Just when the gallery decided nothing could top 100 celebrity names unfurled like a sinister Oscar roll call, witness #27, a man prosecutors cryptically tagged Red Porsche, took the stand, and the temperature in Judge Fitzroy's courtroom plummeted. Rapper Kid Cudi, born Scott Mescudi, walked in wearing an unmarked charcoal suit and a single blood-red pocket square that seemed to telegraph danger before he even spoke. Calmly, he recounted how a quiet April night in 2012 detonated into chaos when a neighbor's screams yanked him from bed. Outside, his brand new Porsche 911 burned so bright the chrome liquefied, flames jagged as lightning. In sworn testimony, Cudi read aloud the very text that preceded the blast. 3 words to Cassie Ventura: "You good?" and then produced a voicemail he claims arrived from Diddy less than an hour later, a slurred threat ending with, "I blow up whatever blocks my fun." Prosecutors followed with a previously sealed LAPD arson memo, accelerant residue matched to a Midtown rental agency used by Combs' security chief, plus grainy surveillance stills of a hooded figure fleeing with a gas can. Half the jury visibly flinched when the DA traced those fuel receipts to Diddy's personal Amex bill. Defense counsel objected, calling the voicemail gutter gossip, but the judge overruled, noting it speaks directly to an alleged pattern of coercion. Meanwhile, social feeds erupted in hash Red Porsche theories, while late-night anchors replayed 2012 footage of a visibly shaken Cudi shrugging off questions with "stuff happens."
We expect to see firearms and ammunition that were seized during search warrants at Sean Combs' homes. There should be drugs also alluded to in the indictment, and medical records of the victims showing that there was force used.
When you see these RICO cases and you see here like 8 weeks of testimony in this, you tend to say, oh, this must be a complicated case.
Under oath, he confessed the shrug was survival. Silence keeps your house from turning to cinders. The gallery sat frozen, because if a chart-topping artist's sports car could become collateral damage over a single supportive text, what horrors awaited those trapped far closer to Diddy's circle? The answer arrived the next morning when 2 women, one an ex-girlfriend, one a former protege, walked in ready to relive nightmares the world thought were tabloid myth. If Kid Cudi's flaming Porsche cracked the courtroom's veneer, Cassie Ventura's soft but steady voice shattered it, spilling 20 minutes of memory so raw that even the court reporter paused to dab tears from her keyboard. Cassie began with the night a silver skillet, still hissing with hot eggs, slammed into her jaw because she questioned a stranger's presence at one of Diddy's notorious freak-offs. She described ritual pre-dawn phone pings, Updoll? That meant she had 30 seconds to appear in lingerie or risk being locked naked on the apartment terrace overlooking Manhattan's sunrise paparazzi. Then came the pills, half moons of pink stamped with cartoon faces, washed down by Cristal that left her feeling pliable like warm wax. On-screen photos showed bruises arranged like fingerprints. Jurors leaned forward as Cassie whispered the brand of concealer Diddy allegedly kept in his pocket to erase evidence before club runs. Defense counsel objected, calling it melodrama. The DA pressed play on a 2009 voicemail of Diddy barking, "Cover it, then kiss the camera." Gasps rippled as Dawn Richard, ex-Danity Kane singer, took the stand next, clutching a tattered choreography notebook dotted with mascara stains. She recounted being summoned during tour rehearsals to model outfits, while Combs, wearing only silk boxers, pawed at her hips to show the stylist the vibe.
There is the video, the surveillance video from 2016 in a hotel showing the vicious attack by Sean Combs on Cassandra Ventura. And of course, there's other evidence alluded to in the indictment. We expect to see some of these bottles of baby oil and lubricant from the so-called freak-off.
Once she testified, he punished her for resisting by ordering security to blast rehearsal audio at deafening volume inside her hotel room for 6 straight hours. She still sleeps with earplugs. Dawn's most chilling memory matched Cassie's, waking up to find Combs calmly counting cash beside a trembling girl she'd never met, murmuring, "She'll be gone by lunch." The jury sat stone still as Dawn closed her notebook and stared at Combs. "You told me loyalty's just fear dressed up pretty. Today I'm not afraid." A frisson swept the gallery because with 2 first-hand accounts now dovetailing in graphic detail, the prosecution's mosaic suddenly looked unbreakable. And as murmurs swelled that multiple high-profile allies could be subpoenaed next, the defense scrambled for its nuclear option, political power. As Cassie's and Dawn Richards' testimonies echoed through every news crawl, Diddy's legal team quietly dialed a different number. Not the appellate clerk, but a political fixer who whispers in West Wing corridors. And overnight, the rumor crystallized. Combs' inner circle is hunting a presidential pardon before the verdict even drops. The audacity alone sent shockwaves down Sunset Boulevard, yet when reporters dredged up images of Kanye West arriving at Mar-a-Lago 2 weekends ago, sporting an "I Miss the Old America" hoodie and clutching a sealed folder, Twitter turned into a digital hornet's nest. Sources claim the folder contained a draft plea for clemency wrapped in a proposed campaign donation roadmap, effectively dangling hip-hop's fundraising machine in exchange for a stroke of executive ink.
Breaking news! Justin Bieber breaks silence following Diddy's arrest. With the recent arrest of pop mogul figure Diddy, the internet and celebrity world has been in uproar, with many suggesting that many other Hollywood celebrities were involved or a part of his dark schemes.
Meanwhile, right-wing broadcaster Suge Knight, now podcasting from prison, devoted an entire episode to predicting that My Boy Puff would walk free by Christmas if the polls stay tight, an on-air prophecy that spooked even hardened pundits. The optics, though, are pure dynamite. Imagine Kanye testifying for the defense one day and lobbying for a pardon the next, while Kid Cudi's torched Porsche smolders in jurors' minds. Insiders say 2 additional A-listers on the scroll have already lawyered up, terrified that public outrage could metastasize into congressional hearings about celebrity privilege. One Capitol staffer confided to Politico that loosely connected donors are probing every legal backdoor, including a rarely invoked clause allowing pardons for crimes affecting national cultural interests, a twist that makes constitutional scholars wince. Yet the gambit could backfire spectacularly. If jurors catch wind that a get-out-of-jail-free card is waiting in a gilded desk drawer, their sympathy could curdle into rage. Even Combs' own PR strategist reportedly advised against the maneuver, warning that an early pardon request telegraphs guilt louder than any confession. Still, desperation breeds bold moves, and with prosecutors preparing to drag missing witnesses' empty chairs into court, each seat a mute accusation, the defense knows political muscle may be their last shield, but Washington favors winners, and one crucial witness has just vanished into thin air, threatening to turn this high-stakes chess match into a game of sudden death. Just when pundits assumed the pardon plot was the week's peak, the trial dove into thriller territory.
Another expectation that we have today, we're hoping to hear from some of the government's witnesses. They said they're hoping to present 3 witnesses this week, and that includes Cassie Ventura, like you mentioned, longtime former girlfriend of Sean Diddy Combs. She's seen as one of the central witnesses to the prosecution's case.
2 Crown witnesses slated for Monday vanished, along with thumb drives prosecutors Neighbors say contain raw, freak-off footage that could erase every doubt. First to ghost was a Miami club promoter turned a companion codenamed Romeo, who had sworn in pre-trial depositions that he installed hidden GoPros at Diddy's after-hours suites, filming what he called VIP horror reels. Marshals sent to escort him from a safe hotel found the room stripped, minibar unplugged, lock quietly picked. Hours later, a veteran audio engineer known as Wireman, keeper of backup surveillance drives, stopped answering texts. Neighbors say his bungalow lights burned day and night, car in the driveway, dog whining, yet no sign of the owner. Defense lawyers smirked, claiming the disappearances prove a case built on ghost stories. But jurors watched stone-faced as prosecutors showed phone records. Both men got blocked number calls minutes apart, followed by geolocation pings that died in the same patch of Mojave Desert. Twitter sleuths traced the coordinates to an abandoned gypsum plant, spawning theories about mobile shred labs. By Friday, the DA sought material witness warrants, a legal flamethrower, warning that if either man turns up injured, the jury will read it as intimidation. That night, court security found 2 envelopes on the prosecution's doorstep. Inside were still photos of Wireman bound to a chair beside server racks, timestamped 8 hours earlier. Authentic or hoax, the message landed. Evidence holders are targets, silence is enforced. And every clue points back to a decades-old grooming pipeline first perfected at a place called Flavor Camp, where a teenage usher learned how mentorship can morph into menace, and where, years later, a starry-eyed Bieber would be ushered into the same glittering trap.
Usher, how you been, man? I've been seeing you so long. How much did we drink?
You trying to say something, Usher?
I'm trying to say something.
What do you want to say?
I don't know if I should.
Long before Kid Cudi's Porsche melted and Cassie's bruises became State's Exhibit A, the template for Diddy's alleged predator factory was perfected at a summer escapade insiders whisper about in the same breath they say never again. Puffy Flavor Camp, a lakeside music retreat where ambitious teens bunked with million-dollar mentors under the guise of creative boot camp. Usher Raymond was 13 when his mother signed the permission slip, lured by promises of studio time and life-changing mentorship. What he remembers instead, according to a resurfaced 1998 Stern interview, is stumbling into midnight hot tub auditions and waking to find grown men, Combs among them, riffing about fresh meat while the miners fetched T-Rock from a walk-in cooler. That chilling memory returns to haunt the courtroom now because prosecutors introduce flight manifests showing a striking overlap. A decade later, Justin Bieber, age 15, was booked on the same charter tail number Usher once flew. Destination a gated Adirondack lodge listed in company ledgers as Camp Encore. Testimony from a former chef, shielded behind privacy glass, painted identical scenes. Mimosas at dawn, phones confiscated, tri-state power brokers helicoptering in after dark. Bieber's attorneys maintain he was supervised, yet security logs revealed Diddy signed himself temporary guardian, a loophole Usher himself once joked about on TRL, quipping, "I had legal custody for a weekend, pray for the kid." The gallows humor lands differently now that Flavor Camp looks less like a mentorship getaway and more like a feeder system. Teens dazzled by fame. Parents assured the mogul would teach discipline.
Combs' former girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, testified today. You remember that CNN last year published a hotel surveillance video from 2016 showing Combs attacking Ventura. He has pleaded not guilty to the charges of racketeering and sex trafficking. If convicted, Sean Combs could spend the rest of his life in prison.
And any protest buried under NDAs. Even the camp's slogan, "Where dreams are curated," feels sinister after a groundskeeper produced dog-eared schedules labeling each night session Curator's Hour. Prosecutors argue this decades-long pipeline explains how witnesses span generations, from Usher's guarded silence to Bieber's cryptic apology tracks, all connected by a single mentor who allegedly turned artistic aspiration into leverage. And with the missing tape mystery tightening by the hour, jurors are beginning to ask the question Flavor Camp alumni have whispered for years. If this was grooming at scale, how many more names on that century scroll were first recruited at a lakeside bonfire where no cameras were allowed? And who benefits if the truth never leaves the woods? A week ago, the Diddy trial felt like just another lurid celebrity fiasco destined to fade behind newer clickbait. Yet after Justin Bieber's Thunderbolt statement, the unspooling of a 100-name dossier, a Porsche turned fireball, 2 eyewitnesses laying bare ritual abuse, pardon whispers slithering through Washington, and the sudden vaporizing of the men said to hold smoking gun tapes, the case has mutated into an existential reckoning for the entire star-making machine, because every revelation correlation circles the same black hole, power that feeds on silence. Prosecutors have painted a decades-long conveyor belt starting at Flavor Camp's innocent-sounding bonfires and ending in penthouse freak-offs, generating not just hit records but an economy of fear in which chart toppers, studio heads, and even presidents of pop culture traded complicity for continued relevance.
And so we're going to have a lot of information coming at these jurors fast and furiously. We will see Sean Diddy Combs in court today to decide what the fate will be. But opening statements, Sarah, this is the moment you're going to hear from the prosecution to lay out their case. What will they allege? What do they want the jurors to know, to hang on to, and what will be an 8 to 10 week trial?
Kid Cudi's charred luxury coupe proved intimidation is real. Cassie's and Dawn Richards' parallel scars proved patterns are real. And the ghosting of Romeo and Wireman, disappearing beings who once trusted the system to protect them, shows that cleanup jobs don't stop just because a judge swings a gavel. Now jurors, and an audience of billions, must decide whether Hollywood remains a gilded carnival where predators hire publicists sharper than prosecutors, or whether this moment becomes the fracture line that collapses the funhouse mirrors forever. And here's the chilling hinge. If Combs walks, the message to every survivor still deciding whether to risk everything will be don't bother. If the jury locks him away, the shockwave will ricochet up every red carpet food chain, rattling agents, labels, charity boards, even the Beltway figures who lent their Rolodexes to the defense. Either way, the verdict will carve new rules into the bedrock of fame, because the world has watched Flavor Camp's ember glow into an inferno, and no amount of Oscar speeches or platinum plaques can smother the truth now that Justin's voice broke the spell. We have seen the monster's full silhouette, we know the machinery that fed it, and we will track every footstep it ever took. The trial resumes Monday with or without the missing tapes, but one fact is already irreversible. The game changed this week, and Hollywood can never pretend it lost a scorecard in the limo again.